Hello students and namaste everyone. I am Dhaval sir and our today's topic is your standard 8th literature part chapter number 7, a visit to Cambridge by Firdosh Kanga. And as we already know that this chapter is in the form of a conversation or a meeting which took place between Firdosh Kanga, who was on a visit to Cambridge with Stephen Hawkins, who was one of the greatest scientists of that time. Okay, so the conversation takes place, and we have already seen the first part of this chapter. So today we'll complete the remaining part of the chapter's explanation. Okay, so that is from this paragraph, that is before you. Okay, yeah, so I'll read the chapter and I'll explain you. Before you, like a lantern whose walls are worn so thin you glimpse only the light inside, is the incandescence of a man. The pronunciation is incandescence. Okay, descence. Incandescence of a man. The body, almost irrelevant, exists only like a case made of shadows, so that I, no believer in eternal souls, know that this is what each of us is. Everything else an accessory. Okay. So through this paragraph, the writer Firdosh Kanga is trying to say, right, before you means in front of us, is saying like a lantern. Okay, he is comparing Stephen Hawkins with the lantern whose walls are so worn. That means they have become so thin, you glimpse only the light inside. So he's trying to say that when we look at such a kind of lantern, we could only see the light inside, and the walls around it, made up of glass, cannot be visible. Okay, so he's trying to say the soul of Stephen Hawkins was so bright, right, that he could not see, or he could easily ignore his physical body or physical appearance. That means his soul was so bright and happy that he felt the body and other things are just accessories. That means extra materials which doesn't make any kind of sense. Okay, so that is what is explained in this paragraph. What do you think is the best thing about you being disabled? I had asked him earlier. So the writer is asking Stephen Hawking that what is the good thing or the best thing about being disabled. So in reply to that, Stephen Hawking is saying, I don't think there is anything good about being disabled, right? Uh, Further, what he's saying, I think I said, you do discover how much kindness there is in the world. So, Stephen Hawkins is trying to say that by being disabled, you can just discover that how much kindness is left in the world. Okay? Yes, he said it was a disadvantage of his voice synthesizer that it could convey no inflection. Right. So, yes, he said it was a disadvantage of his voice synthesizer. Right. As we have seen in the first part of the chapter, Stephen Hawkins was a paralyzed person, and his body was very stiff enough. He could not even speak also, and almost whole body was paralyzed. He could just move a bit of his fingers, and through that he could press the buttons of the computer like screen, and from which messages could be passed to the opposite person. Okay, so uh, what is said over here is that he is trying to say that it was a disadvantage of his voice synthesizer. So synthesizer is an electronic instrument. Okay, and yes, that it could convey no inflection. So usually whenever we speak, right, we try to emphasize on something. Sometimes we increase our volume, sometimes we decrease our voice, which is known as voice modulation. Okay, so if I said okay, then I said okay, and if I am trying to explain, then I'll say, understood? Yes, very good. So there is a change in the pitch, okay? So which is known as inflection. Inflection means rise and fall of a voice in speaking. It is also known as voice modulation. So as we know that Stephen Hawkins used to punch the button and the message used to convey on his display, and through a sound or a speaker the voice used to come out, which did not show any kind of feelings or affections because it was in a flat tone. Okay, you might have heard the robots. Yes, my name is Stephen Hawkins. Right, so a plain, flat voice. So whatever he used to speak or give message through the voice or the sound would always come in a flat tone. Right, it did not show any kind of feelings. So that is what he is trying to say was a disadvantage for him. Okay, no shades or tone. That means, as I said, it was a flat pitch voice. There was no emotions or feelings which he could show in his message. And I could not tell how enthusiastically he agreed with me. Right, so the writer is trying to say that though the voice was flat enough, but he can understand his feelings and he can say that he was very enthusiastic about what they are speaking. Further, what the writer is saying, every time I shifted in my chair or turned my wrist to watch the time, I wanted to make every one of our 30 minutes count. That means he was trying to adjust himself in his seat, okay, chair, and every time he used to look at the wrist to watch the time because he was given only 30 minutes or half an hour. He wanted to make each and every minute count. That means he didn't want to waste even a single minute also with Stephen Hawkins. I felt a huge relief and exhilaration. Exhilaration means joyful. Okay, so I felt a huge relief and exhilaration in the possibilities of my body. That means he was feeling very happy because he was enjoying each and every bit, each and every second of his meeting with Stephen Hawkins. How little it mattered then that I would never walk or even stand. So he is trying to say that after meeting Stephen Hawkins, he was so happy that he didn't care that in his further life also he will never be able to walk or stand. Right, he was not at all dissatisfied or not happy. Means he did not have any such kind of feelings. He was very happy, right, that his disability didn't matter to him after meeting to Stephen Hawkins. I told him how he had been an inspiration beyond Clinch for me and surely for others. Did that thought help him? Right. So, what he's trying to say to Stephen Hawkins is that he was a great inspiration for him, and he is trying to say that not only for him, but also for many other people like him around the world. Okay, and he is asking the question that did that thought help him? So, Stephen Hawkins is saying no, right? And I thought how foolish I was to ask, right? So the writer is saying that he felt very foolish by asking because he himself, that is Stephen Hawkins, was such a great person that, but obviously he was an inspiration for so many people around the world, right? When your body is a claustrophobic room, claustrophobic means what? It is a very small room where you feel like the room's walls are getting closer and closer day by day. Okay, so what he's saying, when your body is a claustrophobic room and the walls are growing narrower day by day, it doesn't do much good to know that there are people outside smiling with admiration to see you breathing still. That means Stephen Hawkins is trying to say that day by day you feel or you know that you are uh, dying and you see other people admiring you, then it doesn't make any kind of sense for you, right? You don't feel any kind of happiness, or it doesn't make any kind of sense at all, right? By people uh, admiring you for still being alive. Okay, is there any advice you can give disabled people, something that might help make them their life better? So this is a question asked by the writer. So Stephen Hawkins is saying they should concentrate on what they are good at. What Stephen Hawkins is saying is a very important line. They should concentrate on what they are good at. I think things like the disabled Olympics are a waste of time. Right, so there is a Olympic taking place for disabled people, which is known as Para-Olympic. So Stephen Hawkins is saying that he feels that such kind of Olympic is a waste of time. I know what you mean. I remember the years I had spent trying to play a Spanish guitar considerably larger than I was, and how gleefully I had unstringed it one night. So the writer is saying, yes, I understand what you are trying to say. He's trying to say that uh, Stephen Hawkins is trying to say that always do only those things in which you are good at. Never try anything different which is out of your range, which you cannot do at all. Right? So the writer Firdosh Kanga remembers one incident where he was trying to play a Spanish guitar, and the guitar was even bigger in size than him, and he could not play it well. Right? So he's saying that how gleefully, as he could not play that guitar happily, he unstringed it one night. That means the strings of the guitar were removed by him and it was kept aside. Okay. The half an hour was up. I think I have annoyed you enough. What the writer is saying, that half an hour is already up. That means it is completed, and he is telling Stephen Hawkins that I have already annoyed you a lot. Okay, I said grinning. Grinning means smiling. That means the writer was smiling, and he said, "Thank you for dot dot dot." That means thank you for everything, the time you spent with me and everything. Okay, stay. I waited. That means what Stephen Hawkins is saying, the writer is trying to greet goodbye, but Stephen Hawkins is saying stay. That means you wait over here, and the writer waited. And what Stephen Hawkins is saying is have some tea. I can show you the garden. So Stephen Hawkins offered Firdosh Kanga to show him his garden, and the garden was as big as park. But Stephen Hawkins covered every inch. That means he showed Kanga each and every inch of his garden. Okay, rumbling along in his motorized wheelchair while I dodged to keep out of the way. Right, so rumbling means the written or spoken comments showing people are that means he is saying that while they were moving in the park. Okay, rumbling means written or spoken comments. Okay, so rumbling along in his motorized wheelchair, I dodged to keep out of the way. That means he is saying that when they were moving in the garden, uh, Firdosh Kanga was moving away from him, not to create any kind of problem in his path. We could not talk very much. The sun made him silent. So actually, he's trying to say that uh, he was typing something which used to appear in his computerized screen, the message, but that message could not be read because of the sunlight. Okay, and because of that, his message could not be passed on to the other person, and therefore, he's saying that the sun had made him silent. The letters on the screen disappearing in the glare. Glare means the brightness. Okay, an hour later, we were ready to leave. I didn't know what to do. So now there was a time for their departure. The both of them were going to separate from each other, and therefore the writer Firdosh Kanga is saying that he didn't know what to do. Right? He's saying that I could not kiss him or cry. Right? Because both of them were paralyzed. I touched his shoulder and wheeled out into the summer evening. I looked back. That means wheeled out means he started moving away, and he is saying that he looked back, and he is saying that I knew he was waving, though he wasn't. That means we know that Stephen Hawking was totally paralyzed. So writer is saying that when he looked back, he felt that Stephen Hawking was waving. That means he is trying to show us his feelings of Stephen Hawking, but actually he could not wave his hand, right? But then the writer felt like that. Watching him, an embodiment of my bravest self, the one I was moving towards, the one I had believed in for so many years, alone, I knew that my journey was over for now. That means he is saying that by meeting Stephen Hawking, he is feeling very proud of himself, and he believes in himself, though no one else believes in him. And he knew that his journey was over. His journey was over. That means his stay in England at Cambridge was over, and now he was not going to meet Stephen Hawking again. So that's it, what the story is about. Okay, I hope so you understood the chapter. And now, as the chapter is over, I'll end my lecture over here. And I thank you everyone for watching my video.